Hey guys, it's Janae. My wife is Quee, and if you're watching this, you're officially a part of the Glitter family. So I am back, and I am picking at a package right now. I'm back as promised with a Mother's Day edition video. I'm talking about my experience as a bonus mom in our household. For those who don't know what a bonus mom is, that is a stepmom. It's another term for a stepmom. So I am the non-biological, non-custodial parent in our home. And I just kind of wanted to give a recap of what I've experienced, give some tips, give some insight if you are already in a bonus mom situation, you're getting into a relationship with somebody where you may become a bonus mom, or you know somebody who is a bonus mom, and just give you a kind of inside scoop on what that person may be going through, and what you may or may not be able to help with. And sorry y'all, I'm fidgeting with this package. Anybody else been Amazon shopping like crazy since COVID started? I have. So first, I do want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all of the moms and mom figures out there. I want to send special love to those who are missing somebody on this holiday, whether you are a child who's lost their mother or a mother who's lost their child. If you are a mom struggling with infertility or any kind of challenges that just make this a less joyous day for you, and any holidays, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that you find a thought or a memory that brings you peace, makes you smile, and just helps you get through this day. So first, a little bit of a backstory on our family and how we came to be. Quee and I met in September of 2016. I met the girls in January of 2017. We moved in together in September of 2017. We became a couple in July of 2017. So a lot happened that first year that we were dating and courting. And then in July of 2018, she proposed. And then we just got married in September of 2019. So we've been married now just a little over 6 months. So yeah, that's pretty much how we came to be where we are. The girls do live with us full time. There's no kind of court orders or anything that are in place as far as visitation or anything. They do have a relationship with their father. They know who he is. They have communication with him. Because of powers outside of our control, Quee and their father now practice what is considered in the blended family world or co-parenting world as parallel parenting, which basically means they don't converse. They don't have conversations about the kids. The kids are old enough to speak for themselves, so they're able to update each set of parenting households with what they want them to know about, what they need as far as their, well-being and school and all the personal information that they want to share. They have access and availability to do so with both parties. And that's pretty much how we function. And I know there's going to be people who hear that, or they've heard of that before, and they judge it, and they feel like, oh, that's childish. The adults should be able to come together, and if it's for the kids, it's about the kids, it's about the kids. My philosophy on that is that kids deserve more to see happy, healthy parents. And if that means it's them not talking to each other, you can call it childish. But I feel like it's more childish to not be upfront and fake the front like everything's all good, and the kids still feel the tension. So I just feel like that's a more realistic way to handle things when everybody's not on the same page with the parenting plan. So that is how we do things in our house. That was not the plan. I would say that we had hoped that we would be able to be a functioning, happy family from start. I had all intentions and hopes that The girl's father and I would get along. There'd be no bad blood. There'd be no animosity or any kind of negative feelings whatsoever. And that we'd be able to grow into a happy, healthy family. And then maybe even one day, if we decided to have another child, he'd be the donor so our kids could all be blood related. But again, things outside of Quee and I's control have happened, and that's just not what it is, and we don't look forward to that changing anytime soon. It is sad, and I know that, on my behalf, on the kids' behalf, and on my wife's behalf, that was never what we had hoped for. We had hoped for it to be a better outcome, but, you can't make people be anything that they don't want to be, and that's how we handle things now. So, starting into my transition into parenthood, it was not difficult. It was just different. I am the oldest of my siblings. I am the oldest of my generation of cousins. So I'm used to taking care of kids, being responsible for kids, things of that nature on a soft core level. But it is a little bit different dealing with someone with kids and having a motherly role or expectation put on you where you're having to nurture and, make sure that they're safe and help them develop into a functioning adult. So it's a little bit different. We did have, some slight hiccups early on with us moving in together, because once I stepped into that role of us living together and wanting to uphold the standard that Quee had, it became that I was no longer fun Janae, I was mean Janae. The girls did not respond well to my authoritative ways of doing things, and Quee and I have a bit of a different parenting style. She's more of a passive sort of parenting style, where I'm more of an aggressive parenting style, and then we kind of meet in the middle. I'm more authoritarian, and she is more laid back, and then we kind of meet in the middle, being authoritative. We kind of blend with that. So it can cause us to bump heads. It can cause the kids to be a little bit confused because they've never grown up in a 2-parent household. So it's been an adjustment for everybody. It's not just me. But overall, it's been a very rewarding experience, and I'm just so thankful that my wife was able to make room comfortably for me to share in this mothering role with her. I'm happy that I met my kids early enough that I could get as much time with them as possible, and that they were younger, and there wasn't any, lingering animosity for their parents not being together or anything like that. They very much embraced me being their mother and recognize it and acknowledge me in that role. It's Mother's Day, and they've never, this is our 3rd Mother's Day together, they've never let Quee skimp on Mother's Day gifts for me or acknowledging me and celebrating me with her on Mother's Day. It feels like Christmas every time Mother's Day comes around, and my birthday, because they just get so excited about doing stuff to acknowledge and celebrate, and it feels so good to be embraced in that and acknowledged. So overall, even through the hiccups and negative things that have come with being in the role, overall it's just been a blessed experience. And I, even though I never had hoped to be with somebody who had kids, because I wanted to avoid the unforeseen drama, they've made the transition easy. They've made the things that have come up worthwhile. So that's that. So that's our background. That's pretty much how we started. So the rest of what I want to share is just going to kind of be some of the experiences that stuck out to me that I wanted to give some insight on. I wish somebody had told me what I would suggest to those who are considering stepping into that role, or if you know somebody who's stepping into that role, some things to maybe consider or think about before you allow the relationship to get more serious. And this goes for both parties, whether you are the biological parent or you're the parent who would be coming in later. Just some things to put on your mind and think about and consider and have conversations about before you move into a more serious role. We get questions about this all the time in our inboxes, and where people are asking like how we make it work and do I have any suggestions, and all sorts of communication like that. So I definitely wanted to take the time to share that. So first, there's some things that you have to be okay with stepping into this role. The elephant in the room, the biggest thing that a lot of people worry about is the ex, whether they're present or not. The children that you're helping raise have some sort of connection to another person. And is that something that you're going to be okay with? Even if that's somebody, maybe they're in jail or they're just not mature enough and they're not doing what they're supposed to do to take care of the kids right now. Sometimes people mature later in life and they may wake up one day and realize that they're missing out on something, and they decide that they want to build that connection with their kids, with their children. And so you on the outside, being a bonus parent, you have to be okay with that. There really is no appropriate way for you to say, unless they've been, they've caused danger to the child, mentally, physically, or emotionally, you don't have, at any point, it doesn't matter if you raised them from infancy, you don't have a right to make it seem like it's a problem for the kids to have a relationship with that other parent. You have to be accepting of the fact that all the huge milestones and special moments that you're going to share with your significant other and your children, that person may be somebody that at any point in time it's acceptable for them to share in that. So when your kid graduates high school, if they graduate college, when they get married, if they have kids of their own, those are going to be moments that you may have to be okay with that ex being a part of. So if you're somebody who is normally jealous or insecure, this is definitely one of the biggest components that you need to think about if you are considering stepping into this role. If there's any potential for that other parent to ever step into the picture. Luckily for me, in our situation, that's not the issue. I want the kids to have a relationship with their father. I had a relationship with my father growing up. I know who he is now. He was in my life from the moment I was born. I grew up with him in my home. So it is important to me. And when we have expressed it to him, I have personally expressed that to the girl's father so that he would know, look, I'm not here to replace you. I don't want to be their dad. I'm not trying to bump you out of the picture. It is important to me, and it is important to their mother that you be a part of their life. And we left that there. So it's never been any ill intent to wipe him out of the picture or, just pretend that he doesn't exist or anything like that. That's not how we operate in things. So, but yeah, for you, if you have an issue with that now, or you've had an issue with that in the past with relationships, this is definitely something that you need to reconsider. And it doesn't mean that you have to be okay with your significant other and the kid's father being all lovey-dovey and touchy-feely and such. Definitely should be a very fine line, a very definitive line in respect for you and your significant other's relationship. So that's definitely something that you don't have to be flexible in, but you have to be flexible in the fact that that person is going to have a relationship with your children for the rest of their lives. So there's that. You have to be okay with the types of resources that are out there, and you're going to have to do some research on resources and make sure that you have a strong support system. Your partner should be your biggest support and your biggest ally in everything that you experience in this situation. But sometimes, especially if they've never been in a step parent or bonus parent role, there are going to be some things that you experience that they're not going to be able to relate to. So you have to make sure that you have other resources that you reach out to. For me personally, I have read books. I have subscribed to blogs. I listen to podcasts. I use all sorts of different platforms to help me gain more knowledge and become more versed in the role that I am in now. So definitely have those resources and look for them. Like I said, I read blogs. I subscribe to a lot of different mom YouTube channels. And I'm in a lot of different social media groups for blended families and for bio moms. all sorts of, I just subscribe to all of those things because I want to be able to soak in all the information and take away from it what's pertinent for me. I started off just subscribing to bonus parent and blended family groups and platforms, but what I found a lot of times, unfortunately, there were a lot of people that were in that role, but they weren't really happy in that role, and I want to be happy in my role. A lot of people were saying things like, no offense, and I feel bad saying this, but I can't stand my stepkids, or I wish that their other biological parent wasn't their biological parent, and just making all of these comments that just made it seem like they didn't want to be there. So I knew that's not what I wanted. So I went to other resources to just help me feel, is this normal? Is it normal for me to feel this way? And what I found through my research is a lot of the things that you're probably going to experience, and I know that I experienced, are really equivalent to first-time mom jitters. So, like I said, I've known the girls since January of 2017. So essentially, I've known them the length of a toddler's lifespan. I met their mom in September. I met them in January, and then I moved in with them the following September. So essentially, that was like the pregnancy process, knowing that I may come into a role of being a mother, preparing for that, getting my mind in a space so that I stopped going out as much. I started going to bed earlier. I started interacting with them and getting them used to me being a parenting role or just another authority figure in their life. So I made a lot of nesting adjustments, if you will, before the living situation changed and we were living together. And then after that, moving in January of 2017, September of 2017, all the way up until last year. So essentially, it's like a 2.5-year-old relationship of living together. So it's like having a toddler equivalent relationship. It's still new, it's still fresh. I'm still figuring things out. I'm still wondering if I'm making mistakes, if I'm screwing up my relationship with my kids, if I'm screwing my kids up, and am I doing this right? What's the right way to do this? And what's your opinion on this? And trying to get all of this feedback and soak in all of this information, and probably overthinking it like first time moms. And I'm thankful that I kind of get a little bit of a cheat sheet because I'm in a relationship with their mother who knows them, best on this planet. So she can give me a lot of insight, and she has given me a lot of insight that I've been able to tap into and, tweak it in a way that works for me. But overall, I still get a lot of doubt. I still get a lot of worry. I wonder if one day they're going to wake up and they're not liking the song that I'm singing anymore. They're not feeling me being a part of their family anymore. And, I get that dreaded, worried. I think that's one of the biggest things that bonus parents worry about is that, just like in the movies, you see a kid come out and you're not my real mom anyway. And they worry about that. I worry about that. I worry that one day they're just not going to like what I have to say about something, and that'll be the end of that. And that's just something that, I could put it out of my mind, but I have to, that's going to be, I don't get emotional very often. I'm not a big emotional person like that, or outwardly expressive emotional person, but I know to hear one of them ever say that would be something that crushed me. And it would take me a very long time to recover from that. But that's something that I have to continuously prepare myself for. Like, we know that eventually one day our parents are going to die, and we see them get older, and we see them, need our help more and less capable of taking care of themselves. And we have to work daily to prepare ourselves for that. It's that kind of looming feeling that I have to deal with. And that's where making sure that you have the right resources and support come into place. If you feel like you need to cry, cry. If you feel like you need to journal, journal. If you feel like you need to get into therapy, make sure you find a good family therapist. I would suggest that you do research and don't just pick the first person that you see. Pick somebody that aligns with who you are and your beliefs and what you want. we did couples therapy very early into us living together, and we thought that we had found a great therapist for us because she was very open and receptive to different spiritual beliefs. She was LGBTQ friendly. But then when we got in there and started talking to her about one of our biggest issues that we've had is the parenting differences, her immediate response was like just a brush off, like, oh, don't, Janae, I don't want you to really spend too much time worrying about that. Just let the parents handle that. And it made sense that that would be her response because she's married to her husband. All of her children are by her husband. So she doesn't know what it feels like to be in my position. And not that we had to find somebody to be a bonus mom to be our therapist, but I think it might have helped on my end to have somebody to connect with in that. And everybody has different views about that. I know, especially in, the LGBTQ community and in the Black community, that's how a lot of people handle it. We get as a bonus parent, we get put on the back burner so much so that it's a feeling of, you're expected to be there and, treat them like they're your own and raise them like they're your own and take care of them like they're your own. But you're not allowed to, I'm in my car, y'all. I'm gonna open my sunroof. But you're not allowed to, it's like you get put on the back burner as soon as the biological parent is brought into the picture. And, you're a non-factor or you're second rate. You're a stand-in. You're a supplemental parent. And so, just having that resource. And so that's why I say if you're going to go to therapy, make sure that you have somebody that definitely resonates with who you are as a person, that is able to understand where you're coming from as a person, and is sensitive to some of the emotions and feelings that you're having, and they're not going to discount them because you are the bonus parent or whatever. You're the non-biological, non-custodial parent. So that is definitely another suggestion. And overall, if you're listening to this and you're not a bonus parent or stepping into that role, if you're on any other end of that, you're not in this position, please don't make insensitive comments like that they're not the biological parent, or leave it to the biological parents to worry about it and make those kind of suggestions. I will tell you, we did come to a point in our relationship where I did try to back away from the parenting role so much. And there's actually a term for that in the blended family community. It's called the nacho method, meaning not your kid, not your problem. And I implemented it before I even knew that's what that was called. I just did what I felt like I needed to do to self-preserve. And when I tell you, the outcome of that was the most heartbreaking experience I think I've ever had in my life. It broke my heart. It broke my wife's heart. It broke our kids' heart. From my end, having had my parents separate and feeling abandonment as a kid, they separated a couple of different times when I was a kid, and just feeling that abandonment, I just imagined that that's how my kids felt. And my oldest was definitely very expressive about that. Once we came back from that phase, she definitely was very expressive in that she felt like I was abandoning them. And then my wife felt the same way, having had, a co-parent who had not been supportive, had not been taking care of his responsibilities and checking in on her and doing everything that he could to go half on supporting the kids. She felt like she had been abandoned with the kids all over again, and that it was easy for me to just write them all off. And then like I said, for the kids, they felt like I had abandoned them. For me, it felt like I was abandoning my post as a parent. When you're a parent, you don't get to take a break. You may have somebody who babysits, but even if they babysit, you still are thinking about your kids and their well-being and checking in to make sure that they're all good. And that's just not what I stepped into this role for. I was very intentional from jump with us dating and, moving the way that we did, and, with me making the suggestions that we get married, and I kept asking her, it was, all in fun and games. When are you going to propose to me? When are you going to propose to me? But I did not want to shack up with her and our girls. I did not want to set that kind of example for them. And honestly, had our circumstances been different, we would not have moved in together until we were engaged or married to begin with. Because I wanted to set a good example for them in, healthy relationship development. So, those were things that if you are somebody who's on the outside looking in, you can't tell somebody who cares about and is nurturing and wants to care for and provide for these kids to not worry about it, because they're not the biological parent. If they care enough that they're coming to you with their complaints, that's the worst thing that you could possibly say to them. Even if they're not coming to you with their complaints, if they're just venting like all parents do, it is no different, and they shouldn't be treated different. We shouldn't be treated different because we didn't give birth to them. It's okay for me to be tired. It's okay for me to be sick of my kids. It's okay for me to want to take a break, and it's okay for me to have days where I just don't feel like doing anything. It is completely okay. It is valid. And it's no different than a single mom who's working 2 and 3 jobs to take care of her kids, just wanting to just let it all go. And, if you can have that support, then have that support, and don't feel bad about needing to take time for yourself. So the next thing that I wanted to segue into as a tip is to make sure that you are doing self-care if you've already stepped into this role and you're maybe feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. Know that it's completely valid for you to feel overwhelmed and feel tired and stretched out and stretched thin, because you didn't get to do the long-term transition with your kids. Even if you came in and they were a baby, you did not get to do the 9 months of preparation before they came into your life. Even if you guys were dating and courting, they're already here and growing day by day more into who they are as a person. And the older the kids are, the harder it is to make the transition. So please be gentle with yourself. Give yourself grace, and know that the feelings that you're feeling, whether they be negative or positive, are completely valid. They are okay. As long as you're not thinking about harming the kids, you're going through first time mom trials. And you just need to make sure that you have a good resource to lean on for that helps you, navigate through that. If you're feeling doubt, if you're feeling anxiety, do whatever you need to do for your self-care that makes you feel good. So for me, everybody in my house knows Saturday is Yay's day. It don't matter what you got going on. I'm not driving you nowhere. I'm not picking anything up. I'm not doing anything that has to do with my household outside of getting groceries. What I normally will do is Friday evening I will order groceries online. Saturday morning I will pick them up first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day is mine. I'll take myself to lunch or breakfast. I'll take myself to lunch. I might catch a movie. I get my nails done every week. I alternate, so I'll get my hands done one week and I'll get my feet done the other week. So that's a weekly, kind of little spa day for me. I may get, some other body treatments done, whether it be, waxing or whatever. But Saturday, that is my day. If I want to go hang out with my friends, if I want to go out with my friends that night, if I want to go and see my parents uninterrupted and they're not all in the kids' face, because they've become very fond of our kids. Saturday is my day. So you don't have to take a whole day like I do. And honestly, most of the time I say take a day, but I don't take a whole day. A lot of times one or both of them ends up with me anyway, kicking it, because they're my besties. I love them. They're my broke best friends. I love spending time with them, but I don't have any feelings of obligation to do anything for the house. I pick the groceries up, I drop them off, they put them away, and I'm gone. And I usually don't come home until, late or early evening so that we can eat dinner together. But that's something that everybody knows. Don't ask me for anything. And I made a point to, communicate that. And that's one of the biggest things. Your partner should be your biggest advocate and support through this also. I made a point to let her know first when I first started, and then I let the kids know. And just so everybody understood, it's not because I don't like you guys, it's not because I don't love you or I don't want to spend time with you, but I have to take time for myself and recharge. I'm an introvert, so me going to my room and shutting the door is not enough for me. I really need to get out, be on my own, doing things that I love to do, whether it's just riding around the city, listening to music I want to listen to, but nobody's calling my name 1,000 times, nobody's calling my phone. It's just a day for me, and I take it unapologetically, and I don't cut any corners about it. I'm very serious about my me time on Saturdays. And then Sunday is our family day. So I give my all to my family Sunday through Friday. So I've earned that, and I take it, and I don't feel bad about it, and you shouldn't either. And that goes for all parents. If you are a stepmom or a bio mom, take that time for yourself. Your kids will be okay. You know, if you have the ability to get out and do something for yourself, even if it's for a couple of hours, you know, whatever the case may be, even if it's while the kids are sleeping, whatever, please don't spend all of your downtime pouring into things that are your household related or your kids related, because you're going to burn yourself out. And then you find yourself being mad about the little things. You find yourself being aggravated with just being at home, and that's supposed to be your place of peace. So self-care, self-care, self-care. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how often you do it. Just do it. Okay. Next thing, so, you know, I just said Saturday is Yaya's day. Yaya is my pet name. That is what the kids call me. I'm going to make this suggestion. You take it how you want to take it. I did what I needed to do for me. And that I'll say that before I get into this next part. Whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable in this situation, do it. Communicate it. Advocate for it, and don't let anybody make you feel bad about it. It's a tough situation for everybody that's involved, but whatever pieces of it people can be flexible in and make it a less stressful situation and make it more of a happy home, please don't hold back how you're feeling and what you want out of the relationship, no more than anybody else should. The kids should be able to communicate how they're feeling. You should be able to communicate how you're feeling, and your partner should be able to communicate how they're feeling, and everybody's feelings be considered and respected. So with that being said, since Qui and I have lived together, the kids have been with me most of the time that we've lived together, given the circumstances. When we first started living together, Qui worked in the office still, and that meant the girls were with me from the time they got out of school to the time she got home, which is usually right around dinner being ready to be served. So that meant I was there to help with homework after school, sign papers, get them in the tub, and I was preparing dinner. So they would be with me for a good, 3.5, 4 hours before she made it home most days. Then when she did finally come to work from home, which was 1.5 years later, she was working a schedule that required her to work 10-hour days, 4 10-hour days. So she was up really early, but her shift still took up the bulk of the day. And she worked Saturday. So that 10-hour shift on Saturdays was pretty much all of the day that the kids were up. And so all of their things that they wanted to get done, and their activities and such, I was responsible for managing those because she was at work. So again, being in that role of being responsible, and because I got off earlier than her in the evening, still being responsible for homework and meal prepping and, facilitating schedules and those things, I was responsible for those things. Then she just recently moved into a new schedule where she works overnight. So she goes to work at 11 o'clock at night. She gets off about 8:30 or 8 in the morning. So they're getting up at 8 to get their day started. So she's asleep through the bulk of their day. By the time she gets up in the afternoon, they're pretty much done with everything that they have to do. And that was even before COVID hit our country. That was pretty much how things went. So when the kids would get home from school, I'm still helping with homework, signing papers. And, she would get up early enough to help with after school activities that they needed to be dropped off somewhere. But I pretty much was still facilitating everything. So they have spent a great deal of time with me since we've been together. With that being said, because they spend so much time with me, they say my name 1,000,000 times a day. And, if you are a bio parent listening to this, I want you to just take a moment to imagine your kids calling you by your first name. Before you pass judgment, Just take a minute and think about how you would feel about your kids that you care for, give your all to, all your time, all your money, energy, everything. You give them all of that, and they were calling you by your first name. Not because they want to hurt your feelings, but because that's what they call you mom, because you taught them to call you mom. You didn't teach them to call you by your first name. And there's a reason why. And it's beyond just the fact that you gave birth to them, so naturally you're mom. If they started calling you by your first name just because they heard somebody else call you that, you would feel away. So my thought process, once we started living together and things were getting, serious, and it actually happened while Quee was gone to Fort Wayne taking care of her mom, and I was the only parent in the house for 2.5 months. So it just really, really started to bother me. I don't know if it was because of the emotional state I was in with my wife being gone, but it really, really bothered me. And I had to have a conversation with my wife. And that's where I go back to again. Your partner should be your biggest support and the person that you confide in and lean on the most. And I had a conversation with her first and was just like, listen, I know they don't mean anything by it. I never thought that it would be something that bothered me, them calling me by my first name, because that is my name, and that's what I told them to call me. When they asked me the first time, I didn't think anything of it. When we first moved in together, I didn't think anything of it. We sat down and we had a conversation, and yay, Janae's moving in. Well, now that you're living with us, what do we call you? And I gave the coy response, what felt like the appropriate response in the moment. Just, call me whatever you want to call me, as long as it's respectful, whatever. And so we settled on Janae. And probably a year in, we played with another pet name because Nyleanne had started, whether it was accidentally on purpose, calling me mom and mommy. And I never wanted her to feel like I was ignoring her because I didn't know who she was talking to. So we settled on Ami for a short while, but it didn't stick, and it wasn't something, I don't know, it's kind of like, how kids say mama and dad. I think because it wasn't something that really, I don't know if it didn't flow off of the tongue right or whatever, but it never stuck. And I was like, that's fine, whatever, no pressure the first time we tried to get that name to stick. But it crushed her when I had that conversation with her because, I love you calling me mom and mommy, but I want to always know that who you're talking to when you say that. So how about we pick another name for me? And we played with some other names. She called me Unicorn for a little bit and all these other little pet names, and none of them were consistent, and we didn't push for anything consistent. But once that time came where I was just like, I really cannot take them calling me by my first name anymore. I sat and I thought about what I would want my child to call me if we do decide to have more children. What would I have them call me? And so we settled on Yay. So that is my name. That's what they call me. And Quee continues to be mom or mommy. And if we have more children, Quee will still be mom or mommy. And I'm okay with Yay. So I say that, and I suggest that if you are dealing with somebody and you feel like it's getting serious, either within the first 6 months of you meeting the kids or the first 6 months of you living with the kids, where they start saying your name on a more consistent, even daily basis, have that conversation with them early so that you can start to implement and gently remind them and redirect them to a better name. And please don't make it seem like it's just, coming from that space of wanting to be called mom. I never wanted them to call me mom. I never looked for that. And, I think what happens a lot of times in the bonus parent or step parent role, you're thinking it's going to be like the movies where the kids accidentally slip up or on purpose, you've gained the rite of passage. Now you're fully accepted into the family, and I'm going to call you mom, or I'm going to call you dad, or whatever. This isn't the movies. This is real life. Kids are creatures of habit, so whatever they start calling you is what they're going to call you. Just like they call their mom and dad, whatever you teach them to call you, that's what they're going to call you. So even if you think you don't care about it now, or you think they're going to naturally grow into a new pet name for you, don't wait on that. Don't anticipate that. Pick a name that is appropriate. If you guys are thinking about having kids in the future, a name that flows, if it does come down to a situation where you're like, no, I want my kids to call me mom too, still settle on that. Have an understanding of that, because you're going to have to teach those younger children. If the older children are still going to be in the house, you are going to have to do that work of teaching the children to differentiate. Okay, I know you see your other siblings call her mom, but for you, I'm mom. I didn't want to do all of that, so that's why we settled on those names. And I am okay with being yay. I'm okay with never being mom or mommy, and I can deal with that. And also the people around you that you love and care about, and that love and care about you, even if they're not on board with the situation right now, make sure they've got their terms of endearment picked out, or their pet names. I had to have that conversation with my parents the night we got married. I was like, look, I know you're not digging this. I know you're not feeling it. But, this is my wife. These are my kids. The kids have been asking, what should they start calling you? Because when they come around, it feels awkward. They don't know what to call you. They say, I'm their mother, which makes you their grandparents. But what do they call you? What do you want to be called? So I'm going to leave this to you now. And I suggest you make a decision quick, because I promise you, if I have more kids, or if your other kids have kids, you're going to feel a way that the other kids are calling you by whatever pet name. And because you never, built on that and established anything, these two are going to be calling you Mr. and Mrs., your first name or last name. So make your choice. Pick what you're going to do. You're going to fall in love with them anyway, so just pick a name. So that's what we did. My mom is Amu, my dad is Grandpa G, and that's how we roll with it. And they still have their feelings that they have to work through with it, and it's okay. But for the time being, the top layer of things, because we've spent pretty much every holiday, or we've visited them for every major holiday since we've been living together. Now my kids feel comfortable with coming to them and approaching them and building with them. They've spent the night at their house before without us, and it just feels better for everybody that's involved. The kids feel like they belong and that they're accepted, and my parents don't feel like they're it's awkward or they're being forced. They know they don't have to be the kids' grandparents, and it's okay. And I just continue to remind them of that. So yes, definitely pick out your terms of endearment, and have those candid conversations. So that's the last thing that I'm going to say, is to just be real with yourself. That's the best thing that you can do with yourself in dealing with this situation. Be real with yourself, be real with your partner, and be real with the kids and anybody else who may be involved or affected by this union and the blending of your families. My mother and I didn't have a great relationship growing up, but I always had the utmost respect for her, because for the most part, she was very, very honest with me. She was very blunt and very honest with me, and I will love her and respect her for that for the rest of my life. My brother and sister grew up in the same household, same parents, have a totally different perspective about her and a lack of respect for her, simply because there were things that they should have known that they didn't know because she didn't tell them. Kids appreciate honesty. They appreciate genuity, and they appreciate real, and they recognize it. So if you're trying to figure out how to bond with your stepkids, be real and be genuine. Don't make it seem like you feel like I guess I gotta bond with you because that's probably what your parent expects me to do because I'm here with y'all. They're gonna pick up on that. They're gonna feel it, and they're going to push away from you even further. I have a very unique and special relationship with each of my girls. It's very different from one another. Even though they like a lot of the same things, they're girly girls. I definitely have it made. I've got very easy girls to deal with outside of them being extremely sensitive, and I had to grow to understand that. And I'm still growing to understand that because my mom was not very nurturing to me. So that's something that I have to continuously work on, and I learn from my wife about continuously. But yeah, I got it easy. My kids are pretty simple. They like to build relationships. They like for us to spend time together, whether it's as a family And they ask for all of that. They ask for us to spend time as a family. They ask for, whether it be Quee and I together to spend time with each of them individually, or for them to get to spend time with each of us individually by themselves too. And we do that. We do mommy and me dates where it's just me and Theyre or me and Nyleanne. Quee actually does weekly playtime with them, where Sunday afternoon for a couple hours she sits with Theyre uninterrupted. It's just their time, and they'll play games and build memories together and talk about whatever's on their mind together, and they focus strictly on their relationship. And then on Monday she does the same thing with Nylee. Because I spend so much time with them already, I don't have any like structured weekly thing that I do with them. I just make a point to spend time with them together and separately on a regular basis. They know I'm very busy. They know I have a lot of things on my plate with managing our household. So they know my flexibility and my availability is going to be different from their mom. So everybody gets their time. And I work to build my relationship with each of them separately and focus on who they are as an individual. I don't group them in like a lot of people in their lives do. When people call, they don't ask, how's Theyre and Nylee? They ask, how are the girls? So we in the household definitely make a point to highlight and acknowledge and cater to their individual interests. So Theyre loves to read, and she reads a lot. What happened when we first started living together and has continued to progress, and that's kind of just something that she and I bond and connect on. She would read books, and there were times if it was an audiobook that I could maybe listen to while I was at work, if there was an audiobook version of it, I would listen to the audiobook, and that way I could talk to her about what she was reading. Or if I didn't get to read it at all and I saw she was reading a book and was really getting into it, I'd ask her what it was about, give me the plot, and we'd talk about alternate ways that the book could have gone and her suggestions and how she would have preferred that it ended. And then she started writing, so I would read some of her stories that she would write, and that's been the biggest part of our bonding together. We've gone to the library together and all sorts of stuff. That's like my favorite time with her, is when we go and pick out her books to read, and then we get to talk about those books after, and help her kind of find out what's her preferred genre of books, because she's still changing and growing. And now that she's a tween, she'll be 12 this year, her interests are changing, and the books that are more geared towards her age group are a little bit more provocative. And sometimes she just can't believe that they would put that in a book in the teen section. She reads teenage books or whatever, and she's in junior high, so some of those are things that she's seen happen in her schools, or that she can relate to. And so that's just a great place that her and I can connect, and I can help her navigate through her junior high experiences. And then with Nylee, she just loves everything. She loves to do everything, be in everything, experience everything, and she just loves to talk. So she doesn't have any super specific interests. She loves gymnastics and she loves cheerleading. So we talk about that. We talk about building on that, and cheerleading camps and gymnastic camps and things like that. And we talk about, for her future, even though she's in elementary school, what she'd want to do in junior high and high school, and if she decides to go to college, getting into those things, even into dance and things of that nature. They both love to get their nails done. We play dolls together. We have movie nights. We have we have outings where we'll walk and eat ice cream together. So I am very fortunate with mine that it's not hard to tell what they like, and I didn't have to dig deep to see what they were interested in. But make that effort. Kids appreciate effort. And it doesn't matter if you are the biological parent or not. If you feel like you're having a disconnect with your kids, it's because you're not listening. It's not because they won't open up or that they're not sharing with you. It feels ingenuine to them. So they may be shut down. They may be shut off from, talking to you or wanting to let you into their world more. You have to find a way to connect with them on their level. Remember what it was like to be an 8-year-old. Remember what it was like to be a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, and beyond. Try to remember what it was like for you in that moment. And even if you have to share stories about your experience when you were that age, so that they can see that you know what it's like. Because when you become a grown-up to kids, you're just a grown-up. You're this old fossil You can't possibly relate to what they're going through. You don't know what they're talking about. Times have changed. Nothing's changed but the technology. And I try to give them my experiences through elementary all the way up to high school so that they can see I went through a lot of that stuff too. I could tell you how it made me feel. I could tell you how I dealt with it. And that just give them another resource, because when they're talking to their friends are going through the experience with them. So they don't come from a place of having the experience. And I tell my kids all the time, I'm your best friend. And I say it, laughing and joking. And I know a lot of times in the Black family, especially, what's the mom's favorite phrase? I'm not one of your little friends. I tell my kids, I am your friend. I'm your best friend, as a matter of fact, because I want them to know, I want them to learn all of those things from us, not just romantic relationships and how, I handled my relationship with Quee and us getting married shortly after, us beginning to live together, because I wanted them to see how, romantic relationships should go, but also friendships and other relationships. People should respect you. They should do this when they say they care about you. They should do that when they say they care about you. Our kids aren't allowed to date until 16, but we talk about dating now, because we know that's something that they're interested in, and we can't just put it on the back burner because we're not ready to have that conversation. So we have a lot of very candid conversations with our kids. I think that's why they flock to me the way that they do, because there is no topic that's off limit with Yay. And I had that conversation with Quee, and she's on board with that too. It's not like I'm giving them something that she wouldn't give to them. We're both we're sailors. We are vulgar. We don't sugarcoat it, because we already know you hear it at school. So I'm not going to keep it PG for you. You hear it at school, you see it on TV, you watch it on YouTube. I'm not going to censor myself because I'm your parent. I'm going to talk to you the way that you hear it, so that I know you understand that I'm talking about exactly what you've already had presented to you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's going to be the foundation of our relationship as they continue to grow. Nayyera becoming a teenager, Nylian growing into being a tweenager and beyond. That's just going to be something that they'll always be able to look back on. It's like, man, my moms, they were, sometimes they were embarrassing, and some of the things that they said, I just couldn't believe that they said it, because we were their kids and it was grown-up talk or whatever. But they never lied to us. They were real with us, and we didn't have a whole lot of surprises with things, because they were so honest with us, and we were prepared for a lot of situations that we could see our friends were not prepared in, and their parents didn't talk to them about that, and we were the ones that people were coming to and asking for advice on, and how that was empowering to feel that. That's what I want for our kids, and that's what Quee wants for our kids. And they get a different experience from both of us, because Quee is not a girly girl. She's not a stud or anything by any means, but she's not a super girly girl like me, and she never has been. She's always been into sports, and our girls are girly girls, even with Nylie being more with her being more athletic. She still very much loves her dresses and her nail polish and her hair accessories and her Barbies. And that is, just something that Quee never really got into as a kid. So they get something different from each of us, and they have a major appreciation for that. Aside from us having different parenting styles, getting that different exposure, and they just get to soak up all of that information from those two different experiences. So I know I rambled on and on about building relationships with the kids, but overall, whatever parenting role you're in, kids are not as difficult as we make them out to be, and we have to bring the bifocals for them to see that we're not aliens either. So blending is not easy. There's some people that, in a very small portion of people who do get it easy, an easy transition into blending a family, if the other bio parent is just completely out of the picture, or a mixture of that, and maybe the kids just love on everybody, so they're totally accepting and embracing of having a two-parent household, whatever. But for the most part, everybody has some sort of struggle that they go through with blending families. And it's difficult for everybody that's involved. So be sensitive. Be sensitive if you're the step parent on how the bio parent is feeling, being the glue that holds everything together. They are the catalyst for this blended family. So the expectations that their kids may have from them, the expectations you have from them, being their partner. If the other bio parent is in the picture, family and their judgments that they may put on them. So be understanding and also be their support in that. And, just try not to ride them too hard about it, but also don't allow them to be super lax with your needs and what you want. And make sure that you have a conversation with the kids yourself if you can. Like, I know this is new for all of us. I want to know what you want from me or what you expect from me out of this relationship. I talk to my kids about that still because they're continuing to grow and change, and what they want and need from me changes on a regular basis. It's just like a romantic relationship. Any kind of relationship that you want to keep with somebody, they're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to grow. And you guys need to be able to grow together and be able to continue to communicate. And then, just have that understanding of everybody that is involved. Having a conversation with the kids, like, I want to know how you may be feeling about being a part of this blended family, and has it been difficult for you? How is it affecting you in school with your relationships? And we ask our kids that because not only are we a blended family, we're a 2-mom household. So, and they're proud of our family, and they love for us to come and support them at things, but people know they have 2 moms. So, does that make you feel nervous? And we also have to prepare for if one day they're embarrassed about both of us being there or being there together, and adapting to how they want us to present ourselves for their comfortability, so they can still have what they want and need from us if they want us to be present, but maybe not be so, intimate or PDA. And we're not real big PDA people anyway. People know who we are, and their friends are cool, that they have. And I think they make a choice to make sure that their friends are cool up front with them having same-sex parents. They're close friends, but, outside of that, kids talk. If you guys have seen the video we posted, our kids have 2 moms. And the girls give a little bit of insight of how, kids have made comments about their family and how they feel about that. They're pretty tough kids. They have tough skin about it, but they don't like for people, their biggest complaint really isn't even the kids at school. It's the adults in their life, the people that they care about rather, and that they love, making comments about our family. That's been the hardest part. So just a little other disclaimer. If you know somebody who has kids and they're in a blended family situation, please don't make comments to the kids about their family on any level, whether you're talking about one of their biological parents or any other step parents. Just don't, because kids have to process on their own. And if you don't have something positive to say, just keep it to yourself. You don't need to influence them to choose sides. A lot of times they already feel like they have to choose sides, and you don't even know that if you don't talk to them. They feel like they've got to pick and choose and have favorites and show loyalty to a certain person and cater to adults' feelings in the situation. So if you don't have anything nice and positive to say about the situation, don't say anything at all. And if you are one of the parents involved in it, don't let anybody say anything to your kids. Our kids, especially Nylian, she's a firecracker. So she's gotten with people. She's gotten with her own grandma about making comments about us and our family. And she has made choices to stop dealing with people because they've made comments about us and our family. And we had to teach them how to respectfully handle those situations, and let us know so that we can advocate. And that's your role. Just continue to keep those lines of communication open throughout your family and let people know, listen, you can't make those kind of comments about my significant other. This is somebody that my kids love. This is somebody they respect and they admire, whatever. And it's not going to be acceptable for you to make those kind of comments. And, leave it at that and let them take it however they want to take it. It's not your job to make them feel comfortable, because they're not the ones who have to live in it. And you have to make sure that you continue to advocate for the people who can't speak for themselves. So I know I gave a lot Thanks for hanging out with me for this little hour, coming up on an hour. If you got to the end of this video, drop your Cash App down below. I'm going to do a drawing by the end of May for a little stimulus check, since we're still in COVID, and that's the new wave right now. That's what's trending, is the stimulus check. So drop your Cash App down in the comments. I'll do a drawing on, what is that, May? It was May. We got 31 days in May. May 31st, I'm going to do a drawing. Make sure you're following us on IG. That's where I'll make the announcement for who the winner is. And again, if you have any questions, definitely leave them down in the comments below. Inbox is always open. If you're not following us on IG, it's theglitterfamily. Our email address is glitterfamily925@gmail.com. And I wish you all peace and love. I hope you and your family are staying safe during this pandemic. If you've lost someone to this virus, I'm praying for you even harder. My family did have a mild case. My grandfather was diagnosed, but he did thankfully come out of it. We got to celebrate his 70th birthday last week, so I'm very thankful for that. I understand and recognize how fortunate and blessed our family has been through this tough time. But I will talk to you guys soon. I love you.